Hashem's name will be blessed forever and ever. We are in Passover class number 3. Today is March 21st, 2023. And we are discussing about Passover. I think we reached to the part we're talking about the rice and legumes, right? So it's confusing in some communities whether it's permitted or prohibited, and especially people that they are part of a Ashkenazi community, they see that the people around them, they don't use legumes, kitniot, it's called legumes, and like hummus, chickpeas, right? Rice, peas, whatever, you know what I'm talking about, and corn, and so forth and so on. But we know that Shulchan Aruch permit that, meaning for Sfaradim, we can use kitniot, legumes. The question starts when you have guests in your house and you're serving rice, and the Ashkenazi, they are not supposed to eat. Is the Passover table become automatically disqualified for them? It's not kosher. Yes, kosher, no kosher. Can they eat rice? No. Can they eat pork? No. Why am I asking that? Because imagine to yourself someone cooked pork in a pot, in a pan, and then he wants to use it. Can you use it? What do you need to do? Kosher it. So I cooked rice, and he wants to use the pot, Ashkenazi. Can he use it? Does he need to kosher it? You understand the kind of similarity? There's no similarity here. So, bottom line, kitniot, legumes, they are not chametz. It's just strictness of the Ashkenazim and some of the Moroccan communities, or maybe some of Sfaradim, not to eat it from a variety of reasons. One of them is because until today you can go to Whole Food, you can go to flea market, you can go to open market, fruit and vegetable market. You can see people there selling legumes like rice and corn and chickpeas and beans in sack, made out of fiber, right? So when they finish with that, they empty it. Usually they don't throw it away. They put something else. So today was beans, tomorrow is going to be chickpeas, for example. The next day is going to be rice. The other day is going to be wheat or barley or oat, for example. So you see the problem, because in the cracks you can have residues or leftover of wheat. When you cook, wheat can be mixed with rice, and if you don't really look and clean thoroughly the rice, which you're supposed to do 3 times before we're using it, you might have 1 or 2 or more seeds of this chita, wheat, or one of the 5 grains that is forbidden on Passover. So in Europe, the rabbis noticed that many do this mistake, and they're cooking rice, and all of a sudden there is chametz in it. They're eating on Pesach chametz. And this is very, very serious thing, because chametz on Passover, leavening on Passover, it's whoever breaks it, it's karet. Karet means that when the neshama is cut off, it's the worst punishment. If you eat chametz on Passover, it's karet. So they made a decree for these days. You don't eat legumes. That's it. Let's stay away from it. So Radim says, Yemenite also, you can clean it up. Take rice and clean up. Today it's much easier. Today the machines do that for you. and especially when people have so much allergies, so they are very careful. And if there will be some residue of wheat or whatever, they will have to write it on the packaging. But even with that, we know 100% that it's only a bag of rice, and it's vacuumed and it's clean and clear. And this factory do only rice. We still have to check the legumes. So if now today is easier, why the Ashkenazim don't eat legumes? So in order to change a verdict, halacha, a Jewish law, later you have to have a Beit Din, a Jewish court, which is greater, smarter, and higher level than the one that forbid that. And obviously, the more we go far from the previous generation, we're just getting smaller and smaller. We don't even reach their level. This is why this prohibition remain till Mashiach will come and teach us some more Torah. That was, in a nutshell, about the problem of legumes. So it relates to many different type of food. It could be Coca-Cola. They don't drink Coca-Cola, for example. I don't recommend to drink it the whole year. But Coca-Cola contain syrup of corn. So there is a special Coca-Cola for Passover that has no corn in it. And if they want to use oil, they can use only probably the olive and the avocado, not the canola, not the vegetable, and so forth and so on. It makes it more complicated because more different type of food are mixed with legumes. Now, it's not only that. Many type of food contain chametz. It looks to you sometimes it makes no sense. How is it possible that I'm eating, for example, I don't know, chocolate, and there is a chametz in it, but there is bread in the chocolate, and the Nutella, for example. So, items needs to be certified and marked as kosher for Passover. That's it. If not, suspect that there's a problem. Because today, with the industry, makes it more complicated, and they're mixing in it wheat starch and some other product that comes from wheat or barley, and they mix it with the food in order to preserve it, or this is part of the process. I don't know. So the mashgichim, the supervisor, know exactly, or supposed to know exactly, what's mixed in it or not. So my recommendation to everyone is to double check the food, and so you won't get mistaken, God forbid, eating chametz on Passover. Even if you go to the store and you buy from the kosher section on a kosher shelf, and you have all the David stars around it, and Happy Passover and all these signs, you can still find their products that are non-kosher for Pesach, or not kosher at all. Because those who stacking and putting them, they don't know. So, okay, you have to be careful. Today I sent a video, right? Non-kosher sushi. So people think it's kosher, it's in this kosher section. You take it and then you eat calamari. I don't know, what's there? Calamari, what else? Shellfish and all these cockroaches of the sea. So, but it comes from the kosher section. Nobody blame you that you did something on purpose, but pay attention. Always look for the kosher symbol. And if you have any doubt, contact the local rabbi. It is permissible during Pesach to eat rice and all legumes, including chickpeas, as long as one first carefully inspect the rice to ascertain that there is no kernels of wheat or barley mixed in it. Custom is to make this inspection at a time when there is no little children around to disturb one's concentration, and repeat the inspection for a total of 3 times. Ashkenazic Jews have the custom to refrain from eating rice and legumes during Pesach. They may not change their custom even if they wish to make hatarat nedarim, even if they want to nullify the vow, they can't. What if the wife, she's Sephardi and she married Ashkenazi? Can she eat rice at her own house? Okay. What about Sephardi husband, the wife Ashkenazi? She never had legume on Pesach. Can he ask her to cook for him rice? Can she eat rice with him now she got married? It's a good question. I didn't think about it, right? Okay. Someone who grew up in a household where the practice was to refrain from eating rice during Pesach and has now married and established a home of his own may discontinue his family's stringency. Technically, it is not necessary to perform hatarat nedarim, the nullify vows, to release him from his family's stringency. But it is best that he perform the hatarat. Meaning, it's not mandatory, but it's always recommended just in case. So, hold on. Ashkenazi can leave in the house of those who don't permit it, these legumes, or they have to get rid of it. So, those who maintain the practice of refraining from eating rice and legumes on Pesach may nonetheless keep them in their homes even if they have been moistened with water. There is no need to sell them to a non-Jew before Pesach. It will never rise. Even if they absorb water and get a little bit bigger or double its size, they're not considered as chametz. Chickpeas, they're dry, soak them in water, they double or triple their size. It's not considered as what we call it, raisin or leavening or chametz. Okay, only from the 5 grains. Only the 5 grains, which is wheat. No, help me out. Barley, oat, sprout, and what's the 5th one? Forgot. Okay.
Yeast or no?
What is it?
Yeast?
No, yeast is the material you add to make it rice. I'm talking about the 5 grains. Okay. We can remember Zasham later. Okay, let's continue. What about Ashkenazi is a guest in Sephardi home? Remember the question, the pork and the rice? If Ashkenazic Jew is a guest in the home of a Sephardic Jew during Pesach, he may eat food that were cooked in his host's utensils, even if his host has the practice of eating rice and legumes on Pesach, and those utensils have previously been used to cook rice and legumes. So even if you borrow a pot or a pan, doesn't have to kosher it. Just clean it if it needs to be clean and cook it. Because it's just stringency, it's not chametz. Right? Let me skip that. Okay. You'll be surprised that even rice need to be washed, because sometimes they're polishing it with wheat starch. You can see rice that they are shining. It's because they're mixing with wheat starch. So you can eat rice, but it's mixed with wheat starch. So what are you going to do? This is why we have to wash it. If there is a reason to suspect that the rice has been polished with wheat starch, since it is glossy and it's not possible to determine whether the rice was indeed polished with such starch or only with vegetable oil, the rice is nevertheless permissible to use on Pesach. Before cooking it, however, the rice must be rinsed repeatedly with cold water until the water running through the rice is clear. And the halacha emphasized the cold water. Why can't you use hot water? Because when you use hot, it will cook it, right? And it will absorb, it will swallow the wheat. So cold water can wash it off. The rice must be rinsed repeatedly with cold water until the water running through the rice is clear. Then there is compound doubt to permit the rice. It may be that the rice was made glossy with vegetable oil, and even if wheat starch was used, it may be that the starch has been completely washed away through the rinsing. Now, if a woman from Ashkenazic family marries a Sephardic Jew, but she chooses to continue to refrain from eating rice or legumes on Pesach, she wants to keep her family practice, nevertheless, she married Sephardi. What do? I can read your head. You want to say, kick her out of the house, right? She may nevertheless cook those foods for her husband, even on Yom Tov itself. If she chooses to adopt the custom of her husband, I married Sephardi, I married Yemenite, now I'm free. I no longer have to keep this stringency. So it is best that she make hatarat nedari, nollah van de vow, and then she may eat rice and legumes in her husband's home according to the custom of Sephardic Jews. The same rule applies to all customs and stringency that Ashkenazic Jews practice while Sephardic Jews do not, but in particular to the laws governing eating during Pesach. Once she marries a Sephardic man, she may adopt all the customs of Sephardic Jews after making hatarat nedarim, nullified vows, like we did in the Zohar class on Wednesday the other day. So, even if a person who has the practice of refraining from eating rice during Pesach, doesn't matter Sephardi or Ashkenazi, may nevertheless cook rice on Yom Tov for others who do eat it. You can do it for other people. Okay, listen to this. If a woman who grew up in a Sephardic family marries Ashkenazic Jews, he, no rice. She, yes, rice. It is not proper for her to cook rice and legumes in her own house for herself. Nevertheless, she's permitted to. When she visits her parents' home, however, she may eat these foods along with everyone else, since the Shulchan Aruch is the accepted authority for the residents of the land of Israel. It would be incorrect to say that this woman has accepted totally all the customs of Ashkenazic Jews and discarded the custom of the land, which means the law of the land, the Shulchan Aruch, is much stronger. Okay? You need to be sensitive, you need to be careful with these kind of things, you need to know with whom you're dealing with. You're not supposed to create any fight or argument. If your husband is very sensitive to it, don't cook it, don't eat it. Nevertheless, you permit it and cause a fight. It's not worth it. It's 1 week, get over it. What about a convert? How should he behave? How should he act? If someone converts to Judaism in the land of Israel, he is obligated to follow the rulings of the Shulchan Aruch. Thus, those that are more stringent than the practice of Ashkenazic Jews, and those that are more lenient, even if that person's ancestry is I'm exhausted today, I'm sorry. Is from the countries where Ashkenazi Jews lived. This is the case, in fact, even if his biological father is an Ashkenazi Jew, but his mother is a non-Jew. He is not considered to be related to his father at all. He must conduct himself according to the custom of the country where he converted to Judaism. In the land of Israel, this means to follow the rulings of the Shulchan Aruch, who is the accepted authority of the land. Furthermore, he must pray according to the Sephardic version of the prayers. As you like that, huh? Who else is listening? As authenticated by the Arizal, these rules apply identically for both male and female converts to Judaism. Okay. Next. We have, let's do 5 more minutes. Let's talk for a few minutes about the Shmura Matzah. Shmura means kept. Matzah, everybody knows. What's Matzah Shmura? Shmura Matzah. It's okay, let me just read so you have it here. Wheat used for mitzvah of matzah. It's the matzah we make this year also. A soft matzah. I have very, very limited amount. I didn't do much. It's too much work. So whoever comes first, comes first. The matzah that we use to fulfill the mitzvah of eating matzah on the first night of Pesach must be made of wheat that has been guarded from the time of its harvest to ensure that it has not become chametz. No moist, no water touch it. Furthermore, it must be guarded for the sake of the mitzvah of eating it on the first night of Pesach. This is necessary to fulfill the mitzvah in the best possible fashion. And this matzah is known as matzah shmura. Kept matzah, because it was kept for that purpose. If someone is in a situation where it is impossible to obtain such wheat, if it is possible to fulfill the mitzvah with wheat that was guarded from the time that it was milled, grounded into flour, or even if it was guarded only from the time it was kneaded into dough. If nothing better is available, one may use such matzah, and one may even recite the blessing of al achilat matzah over eating this matzah. Okay, so Baruch Hashem, we are lucky to do here every year soft matzah, and we do it, according to all the halachot, one by one, and we know every matzah by its name. We're very strict. It's not like what you buy, a mass production. So, Baruch Hashem, we are lucky to do that. And we do it in a very short period of time, according to all the chumurot, all the stringency. Okay, so make sure to buy from wherever you want, you can. Make sure it's kosher. Let me tell you a story that I'm saying every year. A group of guys, I think that was like 10, 12 years ago, they ate matzah on Pesach, beautiful matzah. They said all the berachot, a bunch of like 20 guys together. One was leading the group, and eating the matzot, they were very excited. And after cleaning up, someone noticed on the box it says, not kosher for Pesach. They were eating all like regular bread on Pesach. The box looks the same. It's ridiculous. They bought it from the section next to it, and they did it, thank God, for the first night. The second night, they didn't do it. Some of them didn't celebrate the second night because they're not keeping the second Yom Tov. They just came as guests or whatever. It was really shocking. So this is why I'm telling you this story and advertising it. Whatever you buy, make sure it says kosher for Pesach. Kosher for Passover. There's boxes that look like matzah, but it says at the bottom, not kosher for Pesach. If you go to the store, you might be able to see some of those. Why they do it, why they're mixing it, I don't know. It's business, and I guess you can't tell these stores what to buy, what's not to buy. There's people eating matzah all year round. Okay? So, just pay attention to it.
We have in the store in the regular kosher section.
Okay?
We have non-kosher for Pesach.
Non-kosher Pesach.
Yeah.
So they look the same, right?
Yeah, in this consume by the freezer.
Right. So, okay. So this is why, one of the reasons that I don't trust anybody, and I do it myself. Back in the days, 100 years ago, everybody, all Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Yemen, everybody ate soft matzah. There was no such hard matzah. It's like the big cardboard. It's not tasty. But people did a lot of mistake, or they didn't know how to cook it, and they have to deliver it. And soft matzah doesn't last long. You have to freeze it and take it out before you eat 2, 3, 4 hours before to defrost. And the dry matzah is something that lasts for a long time. It can last for over a year or 2 years. Keep it in the closet. You can eat it, same taste, 2 years later. So, so there's other reasons why people stop doing soft matzah. In the last, I would say, 10, 15 years, it's very, very famous all over Israel to eat soft matzah. What did they do when they didn't have freezers? They're baked on the Chol HaMoed. They're baked again on Pesach. And then some problems started. People didn't know. For example, in Europe, people used to buy bread. There was big bakeries. In Arab countries, people used to do their own pita at home. They had their own taboon. So they baked for themselves usually, especially when out there was non-Jewish bakery. They could not buy there, right? So they could bake for Passover with the special flour and everything. But now, imagine you say people from Europe, Ashkenazi, they usually buy from the bakery. And now they have to bake themselves. So they're messing up the process. You can make it chametz on your table on Passover. So that's another reason why they made this hard, massive production, so they can send to the entire communities, and they don't have to worry about it. Okay? If you can put your hand on soft matzah, after 1 year, believe me, you won't buy anything else. Okay. Any questions? Nothing?
What happens if you forget to clean your rice before Pesach?
So clean it on Pesach. Wash it on Pesach. Guys, B'ezras Hashem will meet here next week, I believe same time. Maybe it can be a little bit later. Just today I went through some blood. It took from me blood from massive amounts. So this is why I'm a little bit tired. Any questions? I'm sorry that the class is too short today. B'ezras Hashem, we all meet here next week. Those who are participating in the Torah class that we have on Shabbat, it's every Shabbat, 10:30. And this Wednesday is tomorrow, it's going to be at around 8:15. Shabbat.
Or 9:30 on Shabbat.
Shabbat 9:30, I'm sorry. Thank you for noticing. Shabbat 9:30, regular time. Shalom everyone, and refuah shalema for kol cholei amo Yisrael.